Hello, football family. Welcome into Huddle It Up Films. What a week for the Ravens. Jesse Minter introduced to the media, to the Baltimore public. Last Thursday, we went on that Thursday evening, special Thursday edition. Back here, regular night, Wednesday nights, 9 o'clock, to talk about this coaching staff that was just filled out, not completely, but the most important hires, Alec, have filtered in, including one at 8 o'clock tonight. Lamar Jackson has a new quarterbacks coach, T. Martin, with a classy goodbye today. But we have to dig into this coaching staff, Alec, and I thank you for joining me. And I don't know why you have another team's colors around your neck. That's not cool from where I'm from.
Tis the season, right? Just the week. But I can get rid of it. I just trying to have some
You,
fun here.
you do you, bro. You do you, and that's you texting me. Okay, so Debonair Dev had some prior commitments, but he should be joining us on the show. Granted that New York traffic, but man, just an exciting time to be a Ravens fan, Alec. Like, I don't know. I just think about where we were at the end of the season and where we are now, and it's a new look team, and we're getting some young coaches in here, some new blood. Uh, One thing that I've taken so far out of this, Alec, is that Baltimore is still a coveted place to be. You see Anthony Weaver, taking a lateral move to come back to the Ravens where he isn't even calling plays. You're seeing a thorough interview process. We're getting some guys. There's some guys accumulated on this stat. It's not a bunch of older coaches retread settling, like we saw Harbaugh, not be able to cash in on his buddy Todd Monken, have to settle for Matt Nagy. It's the opposite, man. It's the opposite happening over here.
It's a pretty beautiful thing, man. It really is. I'm really happy with how everything's playing out for Ravens flock right now. Personally, I entered, the end of the season, disappointed, but Monday came and went, and I was like, man, they can't be doing this to us. We can't be doing this all over again. And then Tuesday happened, 5 o'clock ish. Harbaugh gets canned, and I was actually with my wife yesterday, and we were at the same place when we went to the same place the same day that we heard the Harbaugh news, and I was like, can you believe, like, last time we were here, we were reacting. Well, I was, at least. It's Harbaugh getting fired, and now we have a full coaching staff. Um, and it's such a turn in a couple of weeks. Very exciting. The thing I've been thinking about lately is that it almost feels like a validation of how I kind of felt. And I know maybe some other fans felt at the end of 23. They bring in this defensive mastermind in Minter. They bring in some hotshot offensive coordinator. That was just lost in the shuffle. Like, at that time, I wasn't upset with Monken, and frankly, I wasn't that, like, horribly upset with him this year. I know some of the fan base was, but then we get this hotshot guy. Anthony Weaver gets promoted to DC. Like, I thought would have happened. I thought it was a given. I thought when Mac left, it would be boom right to Weaver. It wasn't. He went elsewhere, and now he's back, and I'm really stoked about, like, that big three right there. If you told me, like, that was the three coming in, I take that card. Like, who knows what Clint's staff's going to look like, but by the time he gets hired, you know what I'm saying? Like, it might not be that good. I don't know. We'll see. I'm curious to see what that staff looks like, but I'm really stoked about how everything's played out. I'm re-energized. Despite these colors, I'm re-energized. You know what I mean? Like,
No,
I'm really looking forward to this, man. And they just keep hiring exciting guys.
they do, and I like the pace in which we worked here. It was the old Nirvana line: "Take your time, hurry up." The
Yeah.
choice is yours. Don't be late. Like you said, Clint staff or whoever. Some of the later coaching staffs, there's some vacancies, but the Ravens, it just reminded me of like landing Kyle Hamilton in the draft where they just waited, or landing Ed Reed in the draft where they
Yeah.
just sat there and waited. And the jury is still out. Good hire, bad hire, great hire, horrible hire. I mean, a lot of us were excited when Zach Orr was hired. I was one of them. I thought that this defense would play to his personality and he would bring the best out in the linebackers. And that didn't work out. So we'll see with this new crew, but a lot to talk about tonight. I want to just recognize some people in the chat before we bring up our charts and start getting into it. King Blaze, Stoner Blaze was first in the house. Appreciate you, Blaze. Your Paso from Dwiz, your Paso, my Brasso. It's good to see you. Giving Alec a shout out. Dario, Nice to see you, Dario. Great to see you. Cosmonaut Project. Got to see Cosmo for his 50th birthday on Saturday night. So that was a real treat for me, Alec. Seeing hanging out with the cosmonaut himself, my best friend,
Right.
Jim 20 Eyes. Hi, everyone. Such exciting times. Alec is in the house. It's Mr. Zaratniak here. Good evening, Jason, Alec Fox. Dev should be joining us as well. And lay back, Big Al. We got the dream team and not the one Jordan was once. So, yeah. Bill Cartwright, Steve Kerr, John Paxton was on that team. Horace Grant. I know I'm probably going over your head there, Alec, but favorite non-Jordan Bulls player? Do you have one, or were you too young for that?
I would say I was a little too young. I mean, like I remember Pippen, but that's about it. Yeah,
Tony Kukoc.
I don't know. I remember when were those like good years of the Bulls?
It was they broke out in the late 80s and continued into the
I was too
90s.
young.
The Jordan won 3 in a row, got bored, decided to play baseball in minor leagues.
Yeah.
Came back and then they won 3 more in a row. It was just that's why he'll always be the GOAT to me. Sorry to the LeBron fans. You can have your GOAT. I have my GOAT.
They're
that
both
was my time.
incredible, right? Like that's the cool thing, right? They kind of bookended each other so well.
Craig Hodges, there's another good pull. Thank you, Twiz. Thank you, Twiz. They were fun times. And, you had the Bad Boy Pistons. You had the New York Knicks, Patrick Ewing, John Starks, Charles Oakley. Like it was some serious, you had Reggie Miller and the Indiana Pacers and Larry Bird and, of course, the Celtics, Robert Parrish, Kevin McHale, and those guys. And Jordan had to overcome a lot when he finally got over the hump. Scotty Burrell, yeah. These Tony Kukoc. By the way, he came in as like his high priced talent from overseas, and he gets a lot of hate, by the way, Alex. So it's good to see somebody, Black Daniels, defending him here. And D. Linda J. Don't want to miss Linda. What is up, Linda? Thank you for all your comments and the highlight videos. I finished those, by the way, all except for Lamar. So Lamar will take me some time, but the members have access to all the videos. We got 2 new members this week. You'll see them scroll down the bottom, AJ and Keese. There they go, right down the bottom. 2 brand new members during the week, which doesn't really happen usually. If you guys see this, thank you. Shout out to you. All right, Alec, let's do this. Here is the chart put together. And Miss Linda J, the Linda J. I will take you off of here so we can see. Yeah, I want to start with Declan Doyle. I feel like that this was the most important hire, of course, because Jesse Minter being a defensive guy, who is going to work with Lamar, who can help maintain and maybe take to the next level the offense that Todd Monken had in 23 and 24. In 25, Lamar was banged up. A lot of things went wrong for the Ravens. So Declan Doyle, high expectations here. When you're hired to be the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens with Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers signed up for next year. Mark Andrews signed up for next year. Bateman. We do still have 2 bookend tackles and Ronnie Stanley and Roger Rosengarten signed up for next year. There's a lot of talent in which to work here for Declan Doyle. Heavy Sean Payton influence. He worked with Ben Johnson last year, of course, was the coordinator. And he actually started as an intern at Iowa at 10 years ago. So he's 29 years old. Alec, he was 19, 20 years old when he started as an intern for Iowa. Not just any college, under Kirk Ferentz at Iowa, gets elevated, works for Sean Payton, sticks with Sean Payton, then goes to Ben Johnson as the offensive coordinator. 29 years old. He'll be 30 this year. Same basic age as Lamar. What's your impressions on this hire? Because I did some studying on that Bears defense or that Bears offense, and definitely have some thoughts there if any of that carries over.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited for Declan. I think when we met up last, we didn't have that name, so this is like the first time we're talking about it on the show.
That's right.
I got to watch a little bit of the Bears this year. Obviously, Ben Johnson was a big influence there. And I think the 12 personnel is what I noticed. The gadgetry I noticed. I noticed making a lot out of those running backs that aren't like, Some people, don't think the most of them. Solid running lanes. So, and I like the sequencing, the way they were able to keep ahead of the sticks. So those are the things I noticed. And I'm really looking forward to that signing. And then you got some of these other guys, Ledford, hugely, you know, um, huge reputation. It sounds like he's going to be a really good pickup to help improve the offensive line, run game coordinator. Those two things together makes me really excited. And apparently, this Eddie guy, Steeler fans are really upset about losing him. So,
Right.
cool. Sounds good. You bring Joe Lombardi in. He has those ties to Sean Payton. So you're kind of getting those vibes. So I'm keen to see what this all looks like when it rubber hits the road. Obviously, we're 6 months away from that, 7 months away from that, but just excited to see these guys come in, maybe how they'll construct the roster, what they'll prioritize. Those are the things I'm going to start trying to dig into, and maybe something we'll talk about tonight.
What I like most about Declan Doyle and his resume is basically the run game. That's where I'm super focused. And we know Sean Payton and his run of just great offenses all the way back to Drew Brees. That's his main influence. Watching him with Ben Johnson last year, they were in 2 tight ends or 3 tight end sets 40% of the time. So they ran a lot of heavy with Cole Kmet, Colston Loveland, and their third tight end. And what strikes me here, and you guys will appreciate this, is the variety of run schemes. So you're talking that Bears team put up, what was it? I have it written down, 281 yards versus the Philadelphia Eagles. I remember watching that game. Do you imagine that Eagles defense and running for 281 yards with DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai? That was what Declan Doyle's offense did. And of course, Ben Johnson's the official play caller there, but Declan Doyle puts together that game plan. And what it reminded me of, Alec, if you could speak to this for me, you remember when the Ravens played the Rams in 2019, that famous, I believe, Monday night game, we dominated them.
Yeah.
And Aaron Donald had 0 stats, no tackles, no tackle assists, no sack, couldn't sniff the sack. We pretty much just eliminated. Greg Roman did a great job that night of eliminating Aaron Donald. And that's what I see Declan Doyle's ability to do. And what the Bears did this year is like, okay, we cannot compete with Philadelphia's secondary. Jalen Carter is going to get home against us. We have got to eliminate their best players from the game. And whether they call inside zone, outside zone, traps, power schemes, counters, you name it, like the Bears would find a way to run on any team, including the Philadelphia Eagles when they put up almost 300 yards. So the flexibility and the game planning that Declan Doyle put into that week, because he was in charge of a lot of stuff over there in Chicago as far as their game planning, how they were going to attack. And of course, Ben Johnson called the plays. But to be able to take a talented defense like the Philadelphia Eagles and run all over them and have them helpless by the fourth quarter, that kind of thing has me excited, especially, when we're in the division and, our guard situation might not be great next year. Who knows what happens with Linderbaum, to be able to minimize the strengths of the opposing defense. And Caleb only threw for he only had like a 58% completion percentage last year. So they had games where they weren't efficient through the air. And, basically Declan Doyle, Ben Johnson just ran it down people's throats. And that's what has me excited, Alec.
Yeah, I mean, we have this run game that should be able to be leaned on. And I think it's one of those things that we got away from this year when we were hunting explosives. And that's just, I don't know. I think it's one of the reasons we got behind the sticks. We weren't able to have these long drives, keep the defense off the field, maintain time of possession, give them the rest they need. Garnett's bringing up the 2-back system. I mean, the Thunder and Lightning we've been talking about for ages with Henry and Keaton. Maybe it'll finally come to be. I do think, like, as sexy as passing is and how important passing is in today's game, if you're able to run the ball effectively, I feel like you'll be able to pass. You know what I mean?
Right.
But if you're able to pass,
you have Lamar and Zay. You have Lamar, Zay. You have 2 bookend tackles. Jim's saying we need the offensive line personnel to carry that out. And Alec, that was a big thing with the Bears. I can't remember off the top of my head, but they redid their entire interior O-line. Joe Thuney was their left guard. I know that. They got a veteran center, I believe, from New Orleans. But yeah, just to redo the interior of that line, you know, Tyler Linderbaum's going to cost some money, but to get some competency, Emory Jones, and to build that offensive line, and let Coach Minter work his wonders with a younger defense. Get yourself an edge rusher, but back to Doyle. He is coached by or mentored by Sean Payton and by Ben Johnson. I like that combination because those are two very specific personalities that were attracted to Declan Doyle as a young guy, a young coach. Very fiery, very no nonsense, very businesslike, and very technical. So it's a big endorsement that Sean Payton would hire this kid out of Iowa and give him a job as a tight ends coach with the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, and he wanted to invest in him, make Declan Doyle get on the Kalshi market or whatever, But yeah, I mean, he's definitely has a reputation for, even though he's only 29 years old, of just being really effective and producing everywhere he goes. So his ability to install those game plans, even if Ben Johnson's the one calling the plays, Declan was one that made sure that they understood the assignments, understood the game plan, understood the plays that they were installing, and was able to carry that through. I'm excited to see what his process is as far as calling the plays and things of that nature. But I think he'll be all right with it. And like I said, if you're able to run the ball effectively and you're not getting behind the sticks, it keeps it easy, right? I think the hardest play calls are when you're behind the sticks. So you have to make those tough decisions about how you're going to get back ahead, or these critical third downs or whatever. If you're behind the sticks with third down, like how do you extend? Those are the hardest play calls, I think, to make.
Really, and somebody I want to talk about here with Declan Doyle is Joe Lombardi. Now, Joe Lombardi, I have a little thing for him over here. He worked with Declan Doyle. He was in Denver from 2023 to 2025 as the offensive coordinator. Alec, he was with the Los Angeles Chargers for 2 years as their offensive coordinator before that. And he is a veteran guy. So Joe Lombardi, what I've learned about him is that he was up in the booth. So in Denver, obviously, Sean Payton is calling the plays on the field. Lombardi was up in the booth. Well, it kind of makes me think that Declan Doyle may be on the field, interacting with his players, with Lombardi being that senior assistant in the booth upstairs, the eagle eye, maybe seeing things that you can't see from the field, the secondary, how they're moving, how they're playing certain coverages. But to bring in a veteran like Joe Lombardi, who has some kind of rapport with Declan Doyle, and to just, look, I've been an OC, I've been around the game for a while. I've been an offensive coordinator in Denver, in LA. I know how to run the meetings. I'm there for you. Maybe some scheduling ideas, and just somebody for the 29-year-old Doyle to lean on in the day-to-day operations and on game day when he's going to have his hands full calling plays for the first time. So again, it's a younger coaching staff all the way around, guys in their 40s and younger. But I like having the senior assistant Joe Lombardi instead of like Zach Orr, Dean Peasing, Chuck Paganoing it when things go wrong. We're kind of getting ahead of the sticks here and be like, look, let's bring in a veteran guy that Declan trusts, that we can have in the booth during game days to kind of call things out, maybe help him with the weekly preparation.
Yeah, exactly. I think that Lombardi gives that, veteran thing that Declan, lacks at the moment just by being so green. Going to be a great assistant for him. Interesting call out about him being up in the booth. I've cooled down on my interest in having coordinators in a booth. I used to think it was the way to go because you have that eagle eye, and I think that's the only way to really observe the game. Like, when we get film, we're not on the sideline. Yeah, we have that top down view.
We're standing behind the huddle, right? You're
right
up there, right?
Yeah, and I always thought like, oh, of course that's where you want to be. But having learned some of the restrictions they have up there in those booths, I think it's less desirable than I once thought it was. And maybe, yeah, obviously you need people up there. You need people you trust and have good communications with them. But maybe not the actual play caller themselves. So, yeah, I think I'm excited to see what that dynamic looks like. One thing I think about too is like these legendary play callers, Andy Reid's, Shanahan, McVay. because their head coach, they're on the sideline. You know what I mean? So it's like it can be done. It can certainly be done. So I don't think they have to be in the booth. But when they signed Lombardi, I was pretty excited about that, just because all the reasons you said, having that vet who's been there, done that, to help guide this process and let Declan flourish. I think it's going to be really, really good. And I don't worry about too many cooks in the kitchen here.
Yeah, and Garnett's point, communication standpoint with Lamar in the unit, especially with T. Martin gone now, Garnett, to have somebody, maybe Israel Wolfork will develop a great rapport with Lamar. But I would love to see Declan Doyle out of that Sean Payton tree, Ben Johnson tree, no nonsense type of guy. Whenever I see a picture of Declan Doyle, he's not really smiling. You know what I mean? He just kind of looks like a very serious minded person. To have him on the sideline, to Garnett's point, to be there communicating with his quarterback. What are you seeing? What do you think we should call next series? How is the connection? What are you noticing out there from the defensive front, pre-snap and post-snap? How can we fix that? Which one of your offensive linemen? Maybe the things that Lamar can see. To have him on the sideline with Declan Doyle, I think would be a big bonus. We will see. We'll see. We have no indication of where Declan's going to be calling plays. But the addition of Joe Lombardi, who's been in the booth as a veteran guy for the Chargers, for the Broncos, makes me feel like Declan Doyle is going to be on the sideline. And I think that's a good thing. Like, I'm with you and Garnett on that one. And Dwiz is saying sideline manner makes a difference, just like bedside manner. Yeah, it's nice. Just being close to your players, and maybe somebody's limping down there. Maybe you got an offensive lineman that's limping, and you got to talk to him. How are you feeling? And you can talk to that player and get a sense of where he needs a series off, or he needs to come out of the game. He's at 80%. The guy I have on the bench was probably better than him right now. Just all the communication stuff with the players. Jesse Minter has his hands full. He is known as a communicator, but having your offensive coordinator while Jesse Minter's controlling the game, watching the game, challenges, and all that other stuff, timeouts, that really kind of excites me. I want to talk about the new quarterback coach, because I have nothing to say on him. I'm just learning about him like the rest of you. You see Adam Schefter tweeted out just before 8 o'clock, Alec, Cardinals quarterback coach Israel Wolfork will now be the quarterback coach for the Ravens, per source. Wolfork interviewed for the Tampa Bay offensive coordinator job and also was blocked several times from other openings before being allowed to pursue other opportunities that resulted in him landing in Baltimore. So I don't know what the blocked from other opportunities means, but the only thing I can draw from that, Alec, is that he is a coveted guy. Not only was he interviewing for the Tampa Bay offensive coordinator job, but other people wanted to hire him, maybe lateral moves to work with their young quarterback, and he wasn't allowed to. And finally, it looks like the Cardinals gave in and allowed him to come to Baltimore. Maybe Israel had to put his foot down, but this will be Lamar Jackson's new right-hand man. And I believe he had been working there for years, so he got a good taste of Kyler Murray, and wasn't Jacoby Brissett in there with him as well? This is another surprising hire. And again, someone that was coveted by other teams choosing Baltimore.
Yeah, good. That's about all I know about him as well. I think I wouldn't surprise me if him being blocked earlier on was because they didn't have a head coach yet, and they wanted to give the head coach the opportunity to keep Israel. And then once they finally picked a head coach, who I forget now, I'm forgetting who they finally chose. Oh, LaFleur. Maybe LaFleur has another LaFleur he can call on in order to be quarterback coach. So maybe that's what kind of happened, where now he was free to talk because they had a head coach. The head coach had another idea for quarterback coach.
Or didn't want an unhappy quarterback coach. Right.
Right. Like, you don't want to be here. Fine. Go to the cold. So, yeah, I mean, hey, if he's coveted, that's good. Obviously, I had a tough situation with the Cardinals. Murray and Brissett. They had their own ups and downs, and that whole team was kind of a mess. But I will say Brissett was kind of slinging it when he came in, and they're passing like crazy. So who knows? We'll see. But he's got the best quarterback in the game now that he gets to coach, and we'll see what all comes of it. Do we know how he's related? Does he have any relations to this coaching staff?
Like to Vince Wilfork, like Joe Lombardi, by the way, is Vince Lombardi's grandson. I don't know if I said that, but he is actually like if we're going after the Lombardi trophy. Yeah, with a guy named Lombardi, with the man's grandson on the staff. But yeah, I'm interested in this. What a great run for T. Martin. What do you go from wide receivers coach, pass game type coach, to Lamar's personal quarterback coach? Always saw T on the sidelines with Lamar. Big shout out. Love Coach Martin. I know he's got a lot of fans in the flock. You know, I don't know what to think about this. I guess like I've seen a lot of fan sentiment that they're, they love T, but they're happy that he's gone because they just want new blood everywhere, as many places as they can. But maybe Israel Wilfork, I don't think there's any connection or know of any connection with Jesse Minter or Declan Doyle. Yeah. Like where does that come from? Where I feel like T. Martin could have okay, you're installing a new offense. Maybe Lamar is struggling with a certain aspect, and T. Martin's able to say to him, hey, Lamar, this concept is just like the old concept we used to call blah, blah, blah under Monken, and kind of help Lamar tie the two systems together or correlate the new system to the old system in some kind of ways. So I don't know. I mean, Israel Wilfork, I know very little about him, but I would be honest with you. I would have been happy if we kept T. Martin as well, just as kind of like a bridge for Lamar, a go-to for Lamar. And obviously T. Martin has been a pro and just been a very professional stand-up kind of guy who knows the Ravens way. So much like Weather, I would have been happy keeping T. Martin.
Yeah, no, I would have been fine with it as well. Looking at his Wikipedia page now, he was a wide receiver at Grand Valley State from 2008 to 2012. So this guy's only 2 years older than I am. Ridiculous. And he got his start in the NFL after some time at Miami and Ohio under the Bill Walsh Diversity Coaching Fellowship and at the Browns. And then he went over to the Cardinals for the last 3 years as a quarterback coach. So very interesting. Yeah, we'll see how he goes. But another young guy. The youth movement is very apparent.
That's what I kind of like about this is that, maybe it's just like coming out of the Harbaugh, of the era of Harbaugh, is that Declan Doyle, you're seeing some of the connections here, like with Lombardi and guys that he's worked with before. But you're also in PJ Volker, one of his good friends. He actually gave PJ Volker a shout out or was asked about him at the press conference. But there's no like what Willie Taggart, remember everybody called him the third Harbaugh. He had known him from the time they were kids and getting them a job. Like he has some familiarity with some of these guys, but he's basically just picking the best guy for the job that he thinks. A legit interview process and making some new bridges. So with that, I want to bring on the man, the myth, the legend, coming off a nice dinner from the home suite, Dev.
Yes,
and noticed you're not in the club lounge. How was dinner? And what did you get?
You'd appreciate this. We went to an Italian place, Mama Teresa. Got some bolognese. Sorry, it was rigatoni with bolognese, and shared a bunch of other things. It was nice. Apologies that I'm late to the party. I'll blend in wherever you guys have been and pick up. And hey, Alex, how are you doing, man?
Hey, man, good to have you. Excited to hear your thoughts on all these offensive guys as well.
So, Dev, we've been stuck on Declan Doyle and also touched on Joe Lombardi's, being a veteran coach and a veteran offensive coordinator. And I read that Joe Lombardi was in the booth with Denver. So Sean Payton calling plays, much like Declan Doyle will be calling plays. Lombardi was up in the booth as that eye in the sky, a veteran guy who has worked with Declan Doyle in Denver. I kind of like the familiarity there in a young coaching staff, but I really think that it's an asset for Declan Doyle to have Lombardi on this staff. Like one of the more underrated hires, I think, of this cycle, because, we see the Dwayne Ledfords, the Anthony Weavers, the Mike Mickens, all these like coveted guys. Now Israel Wilfork that we were just talking about, who was blocked from other opportunities, finally allowed to go to the Ravens. But the Declan Doyle, Joe Lombardi, man, just please give me your thoughts on Doyle, because we haven't got to talk about him since last week. He's hired since he was hired.
Yeah, to me, that was the guy that I thought made a lot of sense in multiple ways, and really we talked a bit. I know we talked about it a bit, and we obviously it was before the hire, so it came together. But to your point about, well, taking a step back with Declan Doyle, I think what he brings to the table, his experience in Sean Payton's offense, Ben Johnson obviously bringing that over, and that system I think has a lot of upside to fit Lamar very well. And then I think you hit on something that I thought of as well, which is Joe Lombardi really is really almost completes that hire in a way, because he in his ability to to complement Declan Doyle. He's a veteran presence. He's called plays. That's going to make all the difference, I think, as well, in making that transition as smooth as possible. So you don't just have Declan Doyle calling plays just on his own on an island. He's got a guy that he's worked with before. He's got a resource handy. So I think both ends of the spectrum, that was a really strong combination. Just bringing in Joe Lombardi as well as a voice, and being able to have somebody that he can lean on who's actually done it on game day, and the fact that they've worked together is even better. So on both ends of the spectrum, I think just Declan Doyle, the potential is there, but then you have a bit of a safety net with Lombardi, and you also have a bit of a safety net with Ledford, right? Because that's a guy who, despite he's not been a coordinator, he doesn't call the plays, but we talked about his experience as a run game coordinator.
Right.
So I think it's becoming a bit of like they can lean on each other kind of thing. And they all, and if Ledford's, implementing the zone blocking scheme in a heavy way, like wide zone, then you have, of course, Doyle bringing in Payton. It's going to be some sort of mismatch of Payton's offense and what Ben Johnson ran, right? But it's going to be a West Coast offense. It's going to be a variation, and so I think it's really good stuff. Lombardi having the experience as well, guys, with Payton for a long time. So to me, that's a good like institution of knowledge, kind of, and being able to teach the offense, which they're going to absolutely need with a lot of the players getting adjusted too.
Ledford's a really important hire. Veteran OC. He worked with Doyle in Denver. That's Joe Lombardi. Ledford, of course, worked with Atlanta since 2021. But he's an NFL veteran too. He played for a long time in this league. And one of the things that I spoke about with Alec before you came on was how efficient, how dominant that Bears rushing offense was last year. And Jim 20 Eyes, is correct. We need the personnel to be able to run that, but not just outside zone, Dev, like inside zone, counters, traps, power, duo, all the stuff the Bears did. And I brought up like the way they were able to run for almost 300 yards on the Eagles, and make guys like Jalen Carter disappear in that game, and just be able to put together. Declan Doyle put together a game plan that week to minimize the strengths of that Philadelphia defense, that strong defense. And I feel like that is a good starting point, but we need to execute that, and that's where Dwayne Ledford comes into play. Of course, Declan Doyle started his career in Iowa under legendary coach Kirk Ferentz, Tyler Linderbaum's coach.
Yep.
Churns out those offensive linemen from Iowa. So I feel like the run game is still going to be very important. I mean, Kalen Williams, the Bears won the NFC North. He completed 58.1% of his passes. It was very run-centric and comeback victories for those Bears. So Ledford, a huge hire for Declan Doyle's offense, I think, to get that offensive line to be able to execute any type of run. And then when you look at Derrick Henry, I mean, his vision and his ability, to execute any type of run is one of his strengths. It's not just running people over. outside zone. You see Derrick Henry execute any kind of run.
That's true too. He has experience now in multiple. His strengths we would put it and attribute it to the zone, but yeah, I mean he's been successful with some of the man blocking schemes and those concepts as well. And it's going to be really cool to watch them blended together. And then you have Lamar and his mobility, which I'm not totally sure that I'm trying to think of between Ledford, between Doyle, between all these guys like Lombardi. Lamar's one of a kind anyway, but what is the closest thing to a Lamar that they've had to work with, right? So you marry the concepts together. There's a lot of motion. There is misdirection, and then you've got a Henry, and then you've got all the different things that they can kind of mesh together. It's going to be really interesting to see how the parts work together. But yeah, it's very exciting. Like the potential's there, and the West Coast offense itself, right? I think we've hit on some. I think we did this during the bye week show, if I'm not mistaken. But we talked about whether that system could be good for Lamar in the future, and I think so. It could give him some longevity,
especially a hybrid system where you're not just running the same thing over and over again. Some more diversity in the run game. And one thing Jesse Minter made very, very clear, and I'm sure Declan Doyle is on board with this, or else he would not be the offensive coordinator, is we want to allow Lamar to be Lamar when we need him and be dynamic and take those shots downfield and hold the ball and make something happen and roll out. So they're not going to, I guess the best word I can come up with is neuter Lamar Jackson from making the big plays, because that's my main concern with a West Coast offense, is that you make quarterbacks like Jared Goff with the Rams. You got to the Super Bowl with him. You're making average quarterbacks look better than they have. Whereas a playmaking, a Lamar type, you may be kind of taking away some of his big play ability with this on schedule stuff just being so regimented. But Dev, I want to get back. Oh, did you have something to say?
The only thought I had was Caleb Williams could be a good example of where he did have to be on schedule, but there was times he riffed and worked out of the pocket and made some magic happen. So I think there is that example. But that was just wanted to add that.
Yeah, he had a bunch of fourth quarter comebacks. I forget, but I think he led the league, and like the Bears led the league in fourth quarter comebacks, which I think you can attribute to Caleb and his clutchness, but also Declan Doyle's ability to wear people down and to find a way. Mm-hmm. Dev, I want to kick it to you on this. We have not talked about the defense at all. This has been all Declan Doyle and Joe Lombardi and Dwayne Ledford. And, we're going to talk about Eddie Faulkner coming up too, because I think that's a fascinating hire. But Anthony Weaver, Dev, and then Alec, he is not going to be calling plays here. This is a lateral move from the Miami Dolphins defensive coordinator to the Baltimore Ravens defensive coordinator. But it's almost like a demotion, because he's going from calling plays and making a reputation as a play caller to coming here in Baltimore. And now he's going to have that, well, it's Jesse Minter's calling the plays. Yeah, Anthony Weaver's the DC, but he's not really calling the plays. But he made it clear in his comments that he wanted to be a Raven and that it's prestigious for him to be the Ravens defensive coordinator. I think that I didn't want to get tied too much to familiarity, the Ravens to fall in love with familiarity. But it helps, in my opinion, massively to have a defensive line specialist in Anthony Weaver, a guy who was drafted in the second round. I believe that was the Ed Reed draft.
Yeah, it was.
It was, 2002. Anthony Weaver, a talented defensive lineman, has worked with some of these guys. So, he knows how the Ravens operate. The kind of guy that was like, what are you? I'm a Baltimore Raven, to be our defensive coordinator, to carry that pride. So I love the Anthony Weaver move. And I said at the beginning, Dev, it's way too early to be like good hire, great hire, bad hire, terrible hire. We haven't even practiced yet, but I'm liking the way that this is shaping up, because we have a little bit of a mix of everything.
Yeah, well said. It's interesting. It was leaning towards Weaver or Cullen, and both guys have experience coaching in Baltimore, which is great. Both guys have coached the D-line. and it made sense that they would lean towards a defensive coordinator with the D-line background. I know we talked about Weaver quite a bit in the shows the last few weeks because we talked about him as a head coaching candidate, and I know you brought up a good point about that he actually did a decent job in Miami. I kind of echoed that as well, as especially the second half of the season. Like they were
Right.
playing really solid. I think until that Pittsburgh game where the bottom fell out, and then they were playing hard. They were playing much better. They were playing more sound. I like that. His track record overall is not very good in terms of results and production, whether he was at Houston or Miami. But in this role, I think it's just absolutely perfect because he can get the D line going again. He's one of the best D line coaches in the league. He is, yeah, he's not going to call the plays, but he's certainly probably going to be a very valuable person to mentor when it comes to game planning, devising the game plans, teaching, communicating, right? All the things. And then I made a point about this, guys. If you think back, that a lot of the players from 2023 are still here in the building. Offense, defense, special teams. That's important as well. So they like Weaver. I think a lot of people universally like Weaver. The players like Weaver, so that is a connecting point as well. And then I think if I was to kind of sum it up, he makes a good point about being a defensive coordinator in Baltimore. It's going to lead to most likely a head coaching job, right? Like he knows what he knows that that's the progression path, and whether or not he's calling plays or not, it is something he can add as a silver bullet on his resume and say, yeah, I was a DC here. And if they perform well, all the better. He's going to be able to sell that. So it's nice to have a former Raven part of the staff. When you look at all the names up here, I mean, other than Santucci, it's looking like a pretty much clean slate. So yeah, those are my takes. Alec, I'm curious what you think though about Weaver and
I'm cool with it, man. Yeah, I'm really cool with us hiring Weaver. I was saying at the top that this almost feels like a validation of maybe that they wish they had done something like this back in 23, where I thought, when we lost McDonald, that they would elevate Weaver. I thought it was a slam dunk. I thought it was in the bag. They didn't do that. And he went off and did DC things elsewhere. And I think we know the leader of men he can be, the way he can relate to players, the way he gets in, with the players in practice, showing them the way he wants it done, the physicality that he'll demand. And it gets me excited about it. I think he understands, like he said, which, by the way, I need to find this quote. I didn't see any quotes from Anthony Weaver about accepting the job, but I believe that he would be very excited to be the Ravens DC and think of it as a very prestigious job. And yeah, I just think that he's going to bring the right energy to this group, and he's going to be a huge piece. And I think he's set up to be a head coach. I think what's going to happen, if I put on my crystal ball, look at my crystal ball, Minter's going to have a great defense. Weaver's going to be a big part of that and orchestrating it as well. And people are going to want to pick from the tree. They're going to go to Anthony Weaver, going to make him a head coach, give him play calling, like I think that's it. That's obviously the what we all hope will happen as far as, great successes. And Weaver's able to get that head coaching job that I think for a long time people thought that he would get. And I'm just excited to see that play out. Hopefully, that's what I'm optimistic for.
Yeah, I'd give him 2 years. I think Anthony Weaver is going to be a coach within 2 seasons. We talk about 2028 this time. Anthony Weaver is going to be hired. That's my prediction. I think that, like you guys are saying, the defense will play well enough. They will like Anthony Weaver's experience at that point, adding some bags to his tricks, or adding some tricks to his bag. Excuse me. Learning from Jesse Minter and the coaching staff here. And the energy that he brings, the professionalism that he brings, the accountability. There's just a lot of things to love about He's a Notre Dame guy. And speaking of a Notre Dame guy, I hope you like that transition, guys. We have Mike Mickens, coveted Notre Dame DB coach. He's been there since 2020. My notes say, Dev, is that correct?
Sounds right to me. That's
I mean,
because he's been there pre-Hamilton, or he was there when Hamilton was.
right. So you're talking about
Sorry,
Kyle
Harrison.
Hamilton, Xavier Watts, guys that he has worked with in that Notre Dame defense. Mike Mickens has had some opportunities in places that he did not find desirable. He is now the DB coach and the pass game coordinator. So he is coordinating our pass defense during the week. Man, I hope Mike Mickens tightens up those zones. We saw the playmaking skills from Xavier Watts. We see the way Kyle Hamilton works and his instincts. So if he's able to coach these guys up and some other guys who just weren't built for the NFL, playing some pretty good safety and DB for Notre Dame over the years, I feel like Mike Mickens is someone who can get this defense to play fast. I think that is his goal with a lot of the short stuff that's is the NFL now, the passes to the flat, the quick hitters, and all that other stuff that Mike Mickens, another coveted guy, only 38 years old, and has been at Notre Dame for the last 6 years, coming to Baltimore. Really excited about this. People rave about him as well. And again, who knows if it's good hire, bad hire, great hire, well, what have you. But he would seem to be the next guy in line to be like the defensive coordinator if it shook out like this. Again, a Notre Dame, a place that does not mess around when it comes to smart football players. They want smart, dedicated football players. That's where Ronnie Stanley come from, Alohi Gilman. When you think about a Notre Dame football player, they're intelligent above everything else. So Mike Mickens, bringing that experience from Notre Dame, finally making the jump to the NFL, Dev. One of the more exciting hires, in my opinion. Like a lot of the hires, solid. Excited about Weaver, excited about Doyle, excited about Lombardi, of course, Ledford. But Mike Mickens, I feel like is a ceiling raiser, ceiling raiser. Like I feel like he could be like a weapon X on this coaching staff.
Yeah, he. I think that's a really good way of putting it because the track record speaks for itself. He's someone who was supposedly coveted by NFL teams before, just hasn't made the jump. And somehow Minter was able to get him. I mean, he's going to coach the Baltimore Ravens defense. Since again, we the allure of that still is there despite the last couple of seasons where this defense hasn't been what we're accustomed to. But people still look at that defense. They look at the name and associate it. So I think those all played a hand in him coming to Baltimore. And his track record, again, is incredibly impressive at Notre Dame. One interesting nugget is he also was in Cincinnati when sorry, guy's name that got traded to the Colts cornerback Sauce.
Oh,
Sauce
yeah.
was there. Yeah, so there's that connection too. I don't know right in front of me or offhand how much he played a part in development for Sauce Gardner, but start to put the pieces together. Sauce, Kyle Hamilton, Watts. You start rattling off all those names. I think he also coached Love, who's in the league. So he's one of the cornerbacks.
Benjamin Morrison last year.
Corner. Yeah, you would know better than me, Jason, and Alec, frankly, on the draft spectrum. So you just start to rattle off that's a strong group right there, right? So one thing that's going to be interesting, I think, but he's going to be tasked with clearly is that group is pretty barren if you think about what's coming up. I mean, like a Nate Wiggins, can you raise him to be like, an upper echelon number one cornerback?
Ceiling raiser. Yeah, Dev. Right.
Yeah. So you already have obviously a dominant all-pro player like Kyle Hamilton, but then you still also on the flip side, you have Malik Starks, you have TJ Tampa. They're going to most likely draft one or two players. So yeah, across the board, they need this. And Minter himself with the DB background. So it's a strong combination. One thing I was going to add too is I listened to the Athletic Football Show, which is my go-to for like objective drill down nuts and bolts analysis.
Are they
across
sponsoring the
league.
show, Dev?
No, but they're gonna get some love because it's hard to keep up with all the coaches, and they absolutely love the Mickens hire, and
Okay.
so that was a home run along with Ledford. So like those, yeah, I think across the league that there was a lot of love for Mickens.
Dev, Josiah's point, playing Wiggins 15 yards off the ball. Yeah, a 3rd and 3. Sure, that's kind of stuff helps it. Like Malachi, I think, is another person that he can take to another level. Because when I look at Malachi Starks, Alec, I'm going to kick it to you this before I get to Heather. But Malachi had a good season. Much better tackler than I thought. He was good in man defense. He did not look lost at all. But remember we were watching that Falcons, was it the last weekend of the season, Alec, and we were talking on the phone. And Xavier Watts, laid a big hit on somebody just with instincts. And then he baited the quarterback into an interception, just laid just enough off of the action going on the sideline that the quarterback thought he could squeeze the ball in there and throw it deep down the sideline. And Watts burst on it right away, baited that quarterback into throwing it and picked it off. That's the kind of thing, Alec, that Malachi needs to take the next step on. It's okay, you're in the right spot, you're deterring throws. That's step one. You got it down, you look good doing it. But the baiting, the IQ that in which Xavier Watts played, trusting his hip turn, trusting his speed. Like if Mickens kind of instilled that in him, and you see it with other playmakers like Kyle Hamilton, that would be in a different way. That would be like a huge boon to this defense to get Malachi Starks like a little more playmaking into him.
Yeah, man. I'm all about more playmaking, more like I'll take the whiffs, as much as it hurt to see Ardarius, come up short in those 2 opportunities where he was trying to make a pick. I want to see that. I want to see near picks. I want to see them being aggressive, trying to get to the ball more than I want to see, oh, he was right there, good coverage, but like the guy still called it, or you don't make that explosive play. So I'm definitely hoping that we get a little bit more of that. And like you said, the way we saw Watts, kind of ID the ball, explode at the catch point, and bait. I want to see that out of all of our DBs, our linebackers, shoot, even our nose tackle, if they drop back into coverage. But realistically, it all starts with Starks, I think, because that's what the free safety is all about. That's what the best ones do. And I'm hoping that we do see a more opportunistic defense, a defense that takes more chances and turns the ball over, because turnovers are worth a lot more to me than almost any other statistic, frankly.
Sure.
Every time you turn it over, they're not scoring. It gives you a chance to have disproportionate amount of successful drives.
And
again, just to clarify,
important, Alec, because I was told it's not important in the playoffs.
They don't win in the playoffs.
Yeah,
with turnovers. That's not the way it works.
Scoring is what the Bills fans were telling me. Scoring is
see, you're in the trenches, Dev. Get out of there, Dev. Run. You're too popular. That's the problem. You're too popular.
Attract too many goons.
You do. And I think you attracted one to the show last week or two, by the way, talking about Lamar.
Really?
Yeah, you did. Somebody made a mama's boy comment, and I'm like, that is not. And I was waiting for Chris or one of the ladies to just let him have it, but they didn't. He went away. But I want to clarify what I meant for Alec. And Alec took it in a different direction. Malachi Starks is in the right spot. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about making the quarterback think that he's in the wrong spot and baiting people, like taking it to the next level. It's not about a level of aggressiveness, though. Malachi is aggressively where he should be. He is taking away throws. He is seeing it perfectly. Malachi's vision is perfect for a rookie. I was really impressed with it. I want to see him make the quarterback to bait quarterbacks and to take that step. Now, we have a super chat from the Hev Beef VP herself, and she has an off-topic question. So she's the channel member. She's given the super chat, and we are going to pivot to Heather's question. I'm late, guys. You're always right on time, Heather. You're never late. So I'm excited to see what this young staff does. I'm really excited or ready for the season to start. What free agents do you have us keeping and leaving? Well, we'll probably do an entire show on that, Heather, coming up after this coaching stuff dies down. The one feeling I get is that Linderbaum is staying. That'll be my guy that I'm going to choose to stay. And for some reason, I think Pat Ricard's time with the team is over. Like when I think of Sean Payton teams, when I think of what Ben Johnson was doing, it was 3 tight ends. It wasn't wasn't 21 personnel with a fullback on there. It was 12 personnel with the 2 tight ends or 3 tight ends. So I could see them, my conventional wisdom at the top, Alec, was like, look, we're turning over the entire tight end room. We're probably going to want to keep Ricard to have some kind of fallback in case the rookies that we bring in, are no good or somebody gets hurt. But I kind of feel like Ricard is gone. And I'll say Linderbaum will be the guy that I say stays. So do you have you can comment on that if you'd like, Alec, or pick 2 free agents yourself to speak on? Likely Kolar. Yeah.
Yeah. I find
Kyle Van Noy.
I think
Draymond Jones.
I think
Jadobi.
Daniel Falele, and no. Okay, I think it's really tough. Shoot. Well, how specific? I think Keaton Mitchell, he's a free agent, right? Restricted, but free agent. I think Keaton Mitchell's one.
Well, he's staying. He's still under team control. That's just
it's a little different. Okay, so full on free agent.
UFA.
Man, I think they're going to get rid of Ricard. I think they're going to go more tight ends, and if they're going to keep more tight ends, I'm going to say they keep Kolar, and not Likely.
Okay.
And then I love the idea of keeping Draymond. I just don't. I think he might be too popular. I don't know. It's a really tough question.
What do you think, Dad? You got any opening thoughts on a strong will stay or will go?
I've been more and more convinced that Tyler Linderbaum they'll keep. To your point, they'll figure it out. And the hiring of Declan Doyle, the hiring of Ledford, to me, all that kind of gives him a stronger case for that. But man, it's going to be. You do not want to get into a bidding war scenario with it, though. I'll say that. I do think there's an element of him knowing what he would be able to do in this building. Like he has, I think, he is strongly loyal. So I do think there's kind of like the Ronnie effect. Like last year, Ronnie had a chance to make more money, came back, and he knew what it was to be a Raven, and just said, you know what, I don't want to chase it somewhere else. So I think they got to be in the zip code for sure, and but they'll get it done is my prediction. And then I think it's going to be difficult to predict. Stout is a really good name. I think they have to keep Stout.
Oh yeah,
he's up to his market. The Kolar situation is tough because I think right now you made a great point, Jason, that ran a lot of 2 tight end in Chicago, and they and I don't think Peyton really uses fullback either.
No, that's what
was it, Troutman? Yes, he would be absolutely the right player. I just don't know if he's the right price to the
counter to that is like you're turning over the entire tight end room, and Ricard can line up in line and do those things for you. So I could see a scenario in which Ricard is staying. It's just I just don't know. I feel like
any sort of dimension where the offense would have to account for him as a pass catcher, and then movement stuff. When you get out in space, he can definitely do that, but it's just a different dynamic to me, if that makes sense. It's like he doesn't give you anything to really think about if you're a defense and
Other than a check down, right?
yeah, other than and we know that's kind of just. I mean, that's just like a bone they might throw to him every once in a while. So I do think they kind of need to really look at Kolar. The tough part is they already made the decision with Andrews, and I'm not sure what you do with that financially because Kolar is going to have a market as well. I know Brian McFarland, my colleague in Russell Street Report, has said that he thinks it's going to be a pretty strong market, deceptively. So I guess the only guy I can really like say for, I think they'll keep Stout. I think they'll keep Linderbaum. If I was to, put my chips on the table for the two, and those two are going to probably cost you well, I don't know about Stout, like because punters still are going to make like premium dollars, but he's going to get paid as a punter, and he deserves it. He was so critical for field position. So, I just don't think you can come back with an unknown punter and a second-year kicker who was good, but had some struggles beyond just the missed kick against the Steelers.
I'd have to see what punters make, but part of me is just like, man, unless Lamar's really going to restructure quickly, like punters just way down on my list, man. Like I don't know, good. Like I'm not
so good.
He was so good for 1 year. Like I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair.
And are we going to really punt? Like you don't punt as much, man. You're kind of going for it around midfield. So I'm not as sold on re-signing Stout. Awuzie, I like him. I think that you do have to kind of manage him. Like you can't ask Awuzie, I think, to be your full-time cornerback and make it through a 17-game season. Draymond, I would like to re-sign him, but I would also like to make a bigger move and draft a guy. There's a possibility that in April, an edge player is the best player at 14. So you got Tavius coming back. You got Mike Green coming back. You need one vet, which could be Draymond, but I'm kind of shooting higher. And then maybe pick 14. And, of course, you got Adisa Isaac coming back. So that's our thoughts on free agency here. There are a ton of tight ends that are coming out. There are a ton of linebackers that are coming out. We're going to need to draft a linebacker as well. So let's get back to the coaching. Add the image back up there. Alec, I'm going to kick it to you. So we talked about Weaver. We talked about Mickens. We talked a good bit about Doyle. What about the running back coach, Eddie Faulkner, who was with Pittsburgh? Did I write it down? It was a while. I want to say since 2019. Eddie Faulkner was the running back coach over there. Coach one of your favorite players of all time, Alec Najee Harris, but also developed Jalen Warren, Kenneth Gainwell, having a career year with the Steelers. He was the Steelers' offensive player of the year for their team. The offensive, voted by the players. Kenneth Gainwell was the offensive player of the year for the Steelers. So a very respected coach. Why I like it, Alec, is that he's familiar with the division. Pittsburgh, of course, brought in a new staff. Tomlin resigned. Mike McCarthy takes over. Martin McCarthy is, being a veteran coach like Harbaugh, has his running back coach that he wants to bring in. So Eddie Faulkner, odd man out at Pittsburgh, says, you know what? Let me go coach those guys that I've been seeing twice, sometimes 3 times a year in Baltimore. Get to coach Derrick Henry, Keaton Mitchell, and, Lamar Jackson factor in the run game should help me be a better running back coach. So I like this because of the familiarity in the division. And again, he strikes me as a guy that could have had a job anywhere with his success and his resume, but wanted to come to Baltimore.
Yeah, I think so. I liked what he did with Warren and Gainwell as far as, also being pass catching backs. I'm hoping we can bring a little bit more of that to the offense. I think Derrick Henry can catch the ball more than people give him credit for. I like the idea of getting Keen out there more. Those things that excite me. As much as I like to dig on Najee, he had all those consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. I think he was well coached. And I think, the biggest thing too is I wonder how much he'll have an influence on the splits, the in-game splits of who we use more. in which situations. I thought that he had a pretty good mix of Warren and Gainwell this year, keeping them both fresh and keeping them both involved. So yeah, I'm curious to see how he kind of sequences those things. But clearly coveted, was mentioned, by Steelers beat writers as a guy they were hoping to retain through this coaching change. To see him go to the division rival is very tricky, and like you said, having that familiarity with the division is a bonus in my opinion.
And the fans loved him too. Fans each one of these guys that the Ravens have hired, Dev, it feels like the fans that left him, starting with the head coach Jesse Minter, are just like, no, don't take Jesse Minter. No, don't take Declan Doyle. No, don't take Eddie Faulkner. Like all of them, it seems like. And the other thing that I meant to mention is that think about Faulkner being with the Pittsburgh Steelers since 2019. So that's when Ben's arm wasn't Ben's arm anymore. He really couldn't extend plays anymore. They went with all these short passes to Deontay Johnson and company. Then you go through the Kenny Pickett, the Russell Wilson, and the Aaron Rodgers was probably the best quarterback they had since Eddie Faulkner has been there. So not a dynamic offense with all these playmakers where the pass game can really take pressure off the running game and off the running backs. And Eddie Faulkner was able to power through that, keep his reputation, keep his job, and keep developing running backs without the a dynamic quarterback to really – dynamic passing game to complement it.
That's a good point. They haven't they spent a high draft pick on Najee Harris, but it's really it's a pedestrian group on paper, right? Like they got the most out of it. I think the work he did with Kenneth Gainwell just phenomenal because Gainwell's always been pretty talented. I mean, he was a good I think he was at his best pre-Barkley. Or actually, was he? I don't even know if he was. He was there. He was there the year prior with Barkley. Not this year. They picked him up, and then I think he did his best work though as a backup with DeAndre Swift in Philly. And so there's been flashes, but what he did this year was just incredible. Turning into like a mini or like I guess a Diet Coke. I've heard that reference, like diet soda version of Bijan Robinson, like super diet, like almost, store brand. But yeah, I mean, I think he did some good stuff, in terms of development. To your point, I'm also going off of the reactions, which is just crazy for a running backs coach. I don't think you normally,
because how fans want to be right all the time, Dev. So it's like, yay, thank God that guy's gone. Our run game sucks. Like you usually have a large portion of the fan base where that's the expression. Oh, we lost this guy. Good. Thank goodness.
Like us with the Ravens fans with Warhop, right? When he's
right. And we celebrated yeah.
Oh, good. Thank you, Giants Browns for taking him. So, I think
Warhop followed Monken instead of Harbaugh. Harbaugh wanted him.
That
He went with Uncle Todd.
That he did. Taggart went with Harbaugh, so I think it's just like a.
Well, he grew up with Harbaugh. That's
true.
The third Harbaugh.
You brought that up when I jumped on. Yeah, that's his guy.
Yeah.
So, ultimate. Can I take a step back on two things, real quick, while we're talking about the offense? One is just the approach has to be applauded by Jesse Minter, right? Because this is a perfect example. Is Eddie Faulkner like? What is the connection? He's just a really good running backs coach that's out there. Let's bring him in. Let's talk to him. Let's hire him, right? Same with Dwayne Ledford. Dwayne Ledford, there was not really much of a connection at all. And Declan Doyle is the same. So I think that's one thing I'd say across the board is like, aside from like PJ, is it Walker or Walker? But I know I'm mispronouncing his name, but like he's one of the few. Mickens is another. Like there's a couple guys here that he's got connections with, but it's just they're just bringing in the top.
Yeah,
Joel Lombardi. They're bringing in the top.
It's almost
guys.
Like he has some connections, but it's best man for the job. Like it doesn't feel like a nepotism. Yeah, people use nepotism, which is I thought was always like you're related to them. But I know what you mean. It's your coaching connection, the good old boys club. Like I'm not feeling that with Jesse Minter. I feel like he's hiring the best person for the job. Like I'm sure being a defensive guy, Alec, that Jesse Minter had other people that he could call on to be his defensive coordinator. Hey, I got this good young coach. He can teach what I like to do here, teach what I like to do there. He's familiar with me, will work well with the players. But no, he saw Anthony Weaver and said, look, this guy is a Raven. I'm a Raven. I was, I guess they crossed paths. I guess they cried in. I don't remember, but did Weaver and Minter coach together here?
No, they actually just missed each other.
Okay, so no connection that way,
yeah.
but he respects the Ravens way. Minter does, and hires Anthony Weaver. So you got a little taste of Ravens. You got a little taste of the division. You got a guy that you trust up in the booth in Joe Lombardi, your buddy PJ Volker, who you shouted out at the press conference. But mainly, Alec, it's like best man for the job, no matter what the reason. And I love that about this staff.
Yeah, man, they're definitely trying to get the best guys. I agree with you entirely. Not afraid to have people in the room that are as smart as them, smart in other areas, things of that nature.
The one thing I was going to also add, guys, was Declan Doyle. I meant to say this earlier, and I didn't bring it up before when I was talking about him, so it just clicked for me. But this whole thing about his age and not playing football, I know that was brought up through other, media. Well, I guess the talking heads have talked about it and have made fun of it. And I think it's a lot of nothing, because if you go back and you look at Kyle Shanahan, he was 28 years old when he got that job with Houston and offensive coordinator position, hadn't called plays. Yes, his dad had coached, and so there's that element of like, okay, well, he's already there. He's probably calling plays when he was 12 years old or whatever. Yeah, sure. But I mean, if we're just looking at age, Josh McDaniels was 29 when he got the job with New England, and Brady was 28, and McVay obviously I think was 28 or 27, something like that. And there's also plenty of stories of failures. I mean, Joe Brady was 30, I think, when he got the job with Carolina. So all that's to say, and the fact that he didn't play football, I checked that as well. And Todd Haley was another guy that was made fun of. I think he played golf or something and ended up being, he was the Cardinals OC, had success, led them to the Super Bowl, went on to be the head coach of the Chiefs, came back to Pittsburgh. He led those Pittsburgh offenses with the Killer Bees, with Brown and Bell, right? So I think what I'm saying is that I don't think it's a factor in the way that it's being portrayed. His age doesn't mean a whole lot, and I think it's going to be fine ultimately. But I just wanted to also throw that one out there because I missed it before.
Missed the Doyle, yeah. Missed the Doyle. No, I'm pretty confident. I mean, like I said, I don't worry about the pass game too much. I think that will come together with an offensive mind like Declan Doyle, as long as the run game is efficient. And I do not doubt that this run game is going to be efficient. Look, it's a lot easier to throw when it's 3rd and 3 than it is when it's 3rd and 7. You look at those percentages. I did a study one time working off of NFL GSIS, just getting all the information. And as you would expect, teams converted for a 3rd and 3 at a higher rate than they did 3rd and 4, at a higher rate than they did 3rd and 5. And it was just, went up by like 3 to 5% every time. So you get that run game, it's going to make things easier for Lamar Jackson to connect, whether it be on schedule or off schedule. Want to see who the wide receivers coach is, want to see who the tight ends coach is. The D-line coach and edge coach, I feel like Anthony Weaver overlaps a lot with whoever the defensive line coach is. Is Dr. Rush staying on? And I saw, Jay-Z commented, and I expressed this earlier, Dev, is that I would have liked to see T. Martin stay. And I'm kind of in the minority here. I feel like everybody was like, thanks for everything, T. We love you. Good luck in your endeavors. But they're not really bummed about it as much as I am. That continuity with Lamar, and it almost makes me wonder, like, what, like Wolfark doesn't have a connection with, Minter or Declan Doyle, as far as I know. I got to do more research on it. But why would they boot T. Martin out the door for somebody they don't know?
Yeah,
No,
that one surprised me. I was out to dinner, obviously, so Evan had a chance to catch up on that hire. I was fully expecting it to be okay. He interviewed with Tampa's OC job,
and he's
so yeah,
been
I'll have to
blocked.
do.
He's been blocked several times. So another coveted
Yeah,
coach is what Alec and I brought up.
I have to look into him. Here's the thing. I think. Well, sorry, I didn't know if you had another thought, but I was going to throw
No,
it
I was
out.
just going to say it
Okay.
just strikes me weird that they would kick like the closest person to Lamar out of the building in favor for somebody that that has no connection. It's not like it's Declan Doyle's quarterback guru from 10 years ago. Like I don't think there's any connection between Wolfark and Doyle.
Yeah, so Ronald Curry made more sense because he did have the connection with Doyle. They coached
Right.
together, and I thought that was the guy. And I mean, maybe something happened there. But as far as Martin is concerned, my take on it is, yeah, I definitely understand the fact that he's been close to Lamar. He's the closest person in the coaching staff to Lamar, as far as we know. I also think if you can push Lamar in a good way, you challenge Lamar, get him out of his comfort zone. I don't think that's a bad thing, and I think that's maybe what they're thinking too. Is and I think Jeff Zrebeck said this is that Doyle coming in naturally might want somebody different because it's an extension. He's going to report under Doyle. So that makes sense to me too. Like if there's nothing like as far as T. Martin, if they just didn't, I don't know, like if maybe they talked to him and they felt like we need a fresh approach, I could see it. But this selection, I will have to do, to your point, more homework on it because I thought Ronald Curry made a lot of sense, at least on paper, right? He maybe didn't interview well or something, but like just
Maybe
the type
that turned
of
T.
player he
Martin
is.
off right there. He's like, look, T, we're moving on. We're looking
Yeah,
at
maybe.
Curry.
Yeah, because
And then
Curry, yeah, he has that pedigree, right? I mean, he could have. I think on paper, I was like, oh, this is relatability for Lamar because he's been a superstar athlete, two-sport athlete, but there's more to it. And
But yeah, Dev Torres, a knowledgeable fan, he's got his own channel. Torres is the man, and he, we're agreeing to disagree on that one. And I've realized, I mean, that's, I feel like I'm in the minority with my opinion there, but
you're not on the.
yeah,
I think
man.
I've actually gotten a lot of people saying the same thing you're saying. I'm of the mind, though. I don't think maybe this is again. I'm pulling this out if I don't have any inside information at all on this, but I just think I don't want complacency, right? I want there to
Okay.
be a challenge now, and perhaps that's
Teach
what's
some
going to
new
happen.
tricks to
Yeah,
Lamar,
teach them new
new
tricks.
eyes.
Like, look
So,
at his
yeah.
fundamentals. Is there something else like they could do? Like, if you think about guys, I remember this one, Peyton Manning talking about, I love to be coached. And he talked about, I think it was like the Duke coach that got with him, and he didn't even have a prior connection with him, but somehow, some way they came together. I forget the guy's name, but it was
Right.
something that was publicized. And the story of that is Peyton always being receptive to learning different things from different coaches and welcoming it. Same thing for me. Somebody asked me, they were like, what could somebody teach what's the difference in the coaching? And one of the best stories ever was Ray Lewis being coached by Mike Singletary. I don't know if you guys remember
Right.
that one, but it's a famous story of Mike Singletary coming on and Ray going to him and saying, Coach, like, give me everything you got. And Mike Singletary worked on some things with him. I think like the way he released out of his stance and he's coming off the ball, his feet or something to that effect. And then he was on his I think he was on his toes, or maybe I got it mixed up. Bottom line is like great players, great coaching. They should gravitate to that, and I hope that's what it is now.
Alec, I'm gonna take that to you. No more scouting tight ends. Getting you out of your comfort zone, man. You're going to be scouting centers or offensive guards this season, man. I gotta get you to the next level, man. Yeah, I'll be your Wolford.
I love that. Hey, Done. I mean, we need some guards. I hear the interior offensive line not the best in this year's draft, so hopefully we can find a few diamonds in the rough, though.
It's a good timing to get one. Need for that need, right?
Right.
That was 2 drafts ago. When they should
Right.
I'm not messing around, man. I hope we hit it in free agency, man. We go to that BPA. So, fellas, we're up on an hour 20. Just great job tonight. Thanks, Dev, for coming in for dinner to make it. And Alec powering through with, what are you drinking there, Alec? What the heck was that stuff?
I got a Health Aid kombucha. I don't think it's helping me with my cold or whatever the heck's going on here, but it's tasty. It's tasty. I've been drinking a lot of water today, and that's when you can sometimes know. Like I try to drink a lot of water anyways, but sometimes when you're like always really thirsty, that's when you I'm like, oh crap, I'm getting sick or something. So
Yeah.
Also, Dev,
Water.
notice Alec in his 3D printer, what he printed. Did you notice that placard on his mic?
Dude, I noticed that was snazzy.
I wanted to make one that has I wanted to make one with Jason's logo on it and have football as family, but it didn't quite work out yet. So
did you guys talk about that at the beginning of the show, the football's family thing, and the team?
No.
just
Oh, no. That
feeling
was
that.
great, though.
Did you get any kind of credit? Like, did anybody contact you after the fact? Like,
No, dude. No, I will. So I'm going to take a screenshot there real quick. 'Cause I like the way I played it, though, Dev. I just retweeted it.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm going to take a screenshot. I saw a question in the chat if you guys want to go ahead and hit that real quick.
Yeah, I'm done with dinner. So.
Munkin's press conference, guys.
Oh yeah, legend. Some of it was tough to listen to. I like Todd. I feel like I like his how direct he is, but some of it was a little cringe. Like the way he was referring to Schwartz, and I was game planning for these players and not the coach and whatever. I don't know. It rubbed me a little bit the wrong way, and I was like, man, good luck over there, dude. Like,
I appreciate you saying that because, first of all, I must admit that I didn't see the entire thing, so that's on my list. Maybe that's a tonight.
I watched it. By the way, he broke down Dev with that Schwartz comment. It was the second time they poked at him. So the first time Todd was like, I'm not speaking on that. I got a lot of. Then they were like, well, the players are sad that Schwartz is going to go. How are you going to, put the players in? And so he went overboard to compliment the players and their skills.
See my guy Garnett. I know Garnett liked it because I get it. I know that's my guy.
And Garnett, this is why me and Garnett get along famously. Like my favorite person I've ever had on the show. Garnett would log on and we would just laugh when we see each other's face because I love every second of Todd being Todd. He was kicking, he was letting some curse words fly, an ass here, a shit there, just classic Todd stuff. And it was fun, dude. I love Todd too because you know what, in this world, Dev, you never got to worry about where Todd's coming from or if he's lying.
I totally agree with that. So I won't belabor it too much. I put my feelings out there on X, and I know some people didn't agree with me. I thought the stuff about Schwartz, and that's good clarification I got, not just from you, but other people told me, like, hey, that was like the second or third time he was asked about it. Okay. So about Schwartz and specifically, right? So fair enough. I think that personally, if it's Jesse Minter, I don't, I think the response would have been something like, hey, he's a great coach, and
I've already addressed it.
And I think the players we got here are fantastic, and so I don't know, something, right? It's going to be more PC. We know that, and I think the reason you may want to say that is twofold. One, Schwartz, I think, still under contract, and two is the players. Like, I think that was a little bit of a gamble. Like, how many guys are still going to want to play for Schwartz? But he might have also done that on purpose to get those guys on his side. I'll just say one other thing. I think is about the whole addressing situation and Todd being Todd. It's like Rex Ryan to me. It's going to be all or nothing. I hope he has the results and the success to to back it up. We saw with Rex, right? Came in like a tornado, 2 seasons. He went to the AFC Championship game back to back. He's like king of New York, and that didn't last. So it's like I could see that being Todd's path, right? Like he could have some success. He could really like get the players going, and but that formula, I haven't seen it be sustainable. Let's just put it that way. Like you kind of need to be a little bit of a CEO in that job, and
Sure, but that didn't take away from my entertainment from Todd's press conference.
sure,
and
it's
Todd
always
just being
entertaining.
Todd.
He's going to be entertaining. That the
Yeah,
media's
dude.
gonna love.
And it was the same accountability and the stuff we got used to. Look, I got to coach it better. I got to call it better. We got to practice it better. He's going to be accountable, and he got choked up, Dev. Todd almost had some man tears talking about his parents and his family. Like, he turned down Harbaugh to be Harbaugh's OC, quite frankly, because he knows he's not getting any younger. And, Cleveland Browns it is. He shouted out the dog pound. I'm proud of Todd for what he's accomplished. It was, Heather said when Todd got choked up, she cried. So I brought this up at your guys' request, just to put this. So I'll kick it to Alec first. Alec, the Ravens tweeted out Jesse Minter, his lovely wife, daughter, and 2 boys, who, by the way, I like Jesse Minter based on his family. Just going armchair psychologist here. His wife, obviously, very in love with him. You can tell from the time they walked in the building. Think they're college sweethearts. This is a marriage of love and perspective. You could see the support, the way their daughter was handling herself, kind of assistant mom through the whole process. And then the boys just being boys, playing football, having the time of their life. Wow, Dad, where's your office? And all that other stuff. You could tell that he was like really grounded. He has a good woman by his side and just seemed really grounded. So I did love Jesse Minter's family, and reading into it, I'm like, yeah, okay. He doesn't just have, he's got a real base to come home to and keep him grounded. But yeah, they tweeted out the family picture and said football is family. So I retweeted it simply saying football is family. I capitalized my family, Alec.
You did capitalize it. It's good stuff, man. I would love to know if there was a wink and a nod there to One True Huddle It Up Films. It would kind of confirm, man. I'm telling you, I think in the big EDC algorithm is your big board.
A big board, yeah.
He's doing some OCR on he screen grabs it, from the streams, OCRs it. He gets it in there. He's got his interns on it.
I mean, the spreadsheet's pinned to my Twitter when it comes out.
Yeah, you could just copy and paste it. But yeah, it's good stuff, man. I think there's definitely a couple people in that facility that know exactly who you are, and I'm sure some of them run the social media too. Very cool stuff. And I agree with you, man. Like, I'm digging the family. We got 2 young families, new coaches in Baltimore, and Minter's he's my number 1 right now. Like we'll see about Albanese. I'm not saying I dislike him, but I like the vibes of his family a little bit more. I do.
Really? See, I love Jesse Minter's family. Like his wife, Dev, kind of reminds.
No, like I like Minter's better. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And then nothing against Craig Albanese.
No, not at all.
Dev, like Minter and his family, it kind of reminded me, like his wife especially, reminded me like of my wife. Like she, when I accomplish something, she's like that, man. So I don't know. I just
awesome.
Armchair vibes, bro. Like the college sweethearts.
Giving the warm and fuzzies, the kids running through the hall, walking through the hallways, talking about Ed Reed and Ray Lewis, and like they already knew. I mean, who can resist that, right? That's perfect. And college sweetheart, that's a loyal lady. So
yeah, going town to town is not easy, man.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I was trying not to say anything, but there's a lot of relationships that aren't based on love, and everybody knows that. And I just really, when I saw that, I'm like, good. When times get tough for Jesse and we lose a game we should have won, or he's kicking himself, or he's having problems with this major in-house problem that none of us know about, like this player's unhappy, that player's unhappy, these 2 players are ready to fist fight. He's got somebody to come home to that truly has his back and cares. I like that. So yeah, but yeah, there you go. So you guys wanted, that's true. I did see that. I did not get any payment, though, Dev. If that's what you were asking, now
You just get
no. I appreciate. I'm just glad that they feel that way too, or at least
You
they
get to promote it.
portray it.
Yeah.
Because it is, dude. Like, it's the guys I played football with. We could see each other in the store, and it's like we never left. Back like we never left, and watching it with my kids, watching it with my dad, bonding over coworkers. Obviously, what we do here, but it's a family type atmosphere, man. You bond. It's like there's so much in this world to divide each other. The football is the ultimate bonder. You go out to that stadium, you're high fiving strangers. It's definitely football is family. That's not just the catchphrase that I chose half-heartedly, man. That's what it means to me.
Well said.
So with that, I want to say thank you to my football family. Love my football family. Thanks for the new members, Keith, AJ. Didn't see you in here, but if you watch this, man, thank you guys for signing up. Enjoy the highlights. We'll have a 3-for-1 highlight coming out. I don't have the paper here, but some of them are short. But I did Keandre Jackson, and Ajabo are all coming out the same day because those are all short. The highlights will run well into February. I think February 18th or 19th is going to be the last day. So members are getting that early. Thank you to the Linda J, always in there commenting. TY always in there commenting. Appreciate y'all on the support for the highlights. So thank you, Dev, Alec. With that, please say goodnight to the people for me.
Good night, guys.
Good night. Take care.